Okay, so we'll dive straight into it. So this is a blank canvas essentially with Sota. Once you go through the sign up process, there is some pre-populated information in there for you just to kind of give you a steer as to what should be included in each section. But for this purposes here, we're just going to start off with a blank canvas. So on the left-hand side, you'll see that we can add in the various inputs, so between revenue and team, cost, assets, and how the business is going to be financed. And then we'll see some of the financials after that and some dashboards. But if we dive in and we'll just start off with adding some revenue. So we've got some models in here, revenue models that we can add. We won't go through them all today, but we're just going to go through and add in a SaaS and subscription based model. So in this case, it's going to be an edtech company. So we're actually going to be doing, so there's going to be selling diploma courses. And we're going to start selling those from February. We're going to charge €750 for these. And we're hoping to start off with 10 customers in February. So we're going to sign up 10 people. Now, this is going to be a one-off fee for each course. So it's not a recurring revenue. Is going to be one-off, but you could do it as a monthly basis if you were charging subscriptions for different things. We hope we're going to grow by maybe 10% a month. So each month we'll have more people doing the course, and there's actually not going to be no churn because it's just a one-off purchase. But if you had churn, you can add that in here if you had monthly subscriptions. So we'll add that there. So here you can see we now have our revenue model, and we have our number of customers built up over time. And we have the actual revenue from those sales. We'll just go ahead and add one more thing in. So we're just going to add in, let's say, so membership. So once somebody completes their course, they can actually become a member. So we'll say that kicks off in March. We're going to charge them €10 a month. We're going to start off maybe with only, let's say, 8 customers. So not everyone will sign up. This is going to be a monthly recurring subscription. We're going to grow that by hopefully 15% a month. But there is going to be some churn. So we'll put in churn of, let's say, 2% in here. So people might join for a couple of months and then they won't continue after that. So you can see, so we've got our 2 now revenue streams in here. You can see how the customer numbers or the user numbers increase over time. And we can see how that builds up over the 3-year period. The revenue's down below here. If you want to add in some notes around, maybe you might want to include why your charge is $750. Maybe you've done a bit of research, or you were charging $900, you're down to $970. If you get more traction with that, you can add those notes in here and just save them. So that's the revenue side of things. On the team side, we'll add in some team members. So we can do this quite quickly. So let's say we're going to do the leadership team first. So we're going to add in the founder. So he's called Sam Smith. He's already a team member, so we're going to add him from the 1st of January because this is when we actually decided the financials we're going to start from. He's a permanent employee. He's an existing employee. He's not a new employee. We're going to say he's indirect, so he doesn't. Indirect staff member will be somebody who the number of them would scale relative to the number of customers you have, but he's going to be a employee regardless. Let's say we put him in at 65,000 as a salary. We give him a little increase each year, and additional costs for him might be only, let's say, 7%, for example. And he's going to be based in Ireland, so we'll add him in there as based in Ireland. We'll add some more team members. Let's say we're going to add in, again, the leadership team. We might add in a CTO. We might not know who he's going to be yet, so we might not employ him yet, but we're hoping to take him on board maybe in March. Again, he's going to be permanent. He's going to be a new employee because we'll take him on in the future. He's going to be indirect, and he might be, let's say, 70,000, for example. And he might be, another 3% increase. And because he's not a founder or a director, his additional cost might be around 15% between employers, peers, sign, various different things. And again, he's going to be based in Ireland. Might just add in a few more team members. Let's say we'll add in, let's say, customer success somebody. So they're going to be the customer support perhaps person we need. Again, we don't know who they are at the moment. They're going to start maybe, but not till probably 1st of April. going to be permanent, going to be a new employee. This person is going to be a direct cost because they're actually, directly related to the product. Let's say they're going to be 35,000. We might give them again a 3% increase, and additional costs might be for them again might be 15%. And we say they're based in Ireland. We just had another couple of team members here, maybe on the, let's see, the finance and admin, maybe a finance manager. We actually know this person because they're already employed by us, so it might be Tim Murphy. So they were employed from the first of January already, but they're only on contract. So we only want them for a short period of time. So they're going to finish up in, let's say, August. They're doing a particular piece of work for us. So they're an existing, they're not the existing member of the team, not an existing employee. They're a direct cost, and we pay them, let's say, 5,000 a month for that. So you can add in contractors as you want. So that's how you build up the team. We might actually just change one of these here, CTO, that they're actually not based in Ireland, and we'll come back to that in a few minutes as to why that part's important. So up to the top, you can actually see the makeup of your team. Down below, you can see the monthly costs and how that increases over time. You see here, our finance manager is only on a contract basis, so that finishes in August. And then down below, then we have kind of the team composition. So cost of the leadership team, cost of the customer success, cost of financing, and how that team builds up over time and the costs over time. Again, you can add in some notes around, why you think that you need 2 customer supports in year 3 or whatever that might be. So that's the team. On the cost side then, we have cost of sales and operation expenses. So on the cost of sales, let's say we're going to add in, so we're going to have transaction fees. So every time somebody pays us, they're going to be a transaction fee. And in this case, it's actually going to be applied to all the different revenue streams. So we have our diploma memberships. Every time we pay, we're going to pay a Stripe fee, for example. But we might not have it on every single one of them, but in this case, we're going to have it on all of them. And these are going to be our Stripe fees, for example. We can include as well, let's say we have some hosting fees. So this might be, let's say, 500 a month. We're already incurring that. Actually, we start incurring that from February, let's say. A little increase each year. And this could be our AWS fees, for example. And then we just add in maybe one more cost of sale, maybe general subscriptions. These might be, let's say, 350 a month. Again, might start them from February again as well. Small increase each year. And these are things like, I don't know, Zoom, maybe Microsoft Teams or something like that, and just add those up. So say add up your cost of sales. On the operating expenses side, we can add in some other costs, like let's say we want to add in, not that anyone's really paying rent these days, but let's say that we are, and that's going to be a monthly fee, again, starting in February. So we paid in the month, and let's say that's going to be 1,500 a month, and we'll give a slight increase again each year. What else might we add? We might add, oh, did it save? That one didn't save. So let's try that one. Let's try general expenses, and we'll put in some general subscriptions. These might be for, again, monthly. They're going to start first month in the month, and let's say we're going to spend maybe 1,000 a month on those, and we'll have a year increase of 5%. So we'll save that. Okay, we'll go back, and actually that rent didn't save, so let's just go back into office facilities. We'll do monthly, starts this month, one off. We're going to say that was 1,500, small increase each year, and save that, and then there. Maybe just add in one more, maybe it's professional fees. So it'll be accounting. Or actually we'll put in some consulting fees. This is just going to be an annual fee we'll pay. And let's say we're going to start that, but might not occur that till, let's say, June. And it's going to be paid in the month, and this might be 5,000 euro a month. Let's say it's for, I don't know, data security, security consultancy. Oops. Consultancy. So we can say that'll just happen once a year. So again, you can put in some notes here if you want to. So that's our cost side of things. We can build up more of those if we wanted to. On the asset side, let's say we kind of look at this two ways. One is on a sort of a new team member, and then one is on a sort of general asset. So if we look at it from new team members, so every new team member we have, we're going to buy them, let's say, a laptop. And that's going to cost us, let's say, €1,000. We're going to preset it over 3 years, and we could add a description there if we wanted to. We can save that. But let's say we also wanted to buy some office furniture, for example. So it could be office furniture. And we're going to move up to our office in February. So we want to buy it in February. And the cost of that might be €5,000. And we're going to depreciate that over 3 years as well. So there we have another asset which we want to add in. On the financing side, so generally what we tend to do in Sota is actually leave the financing blank until we have a look at the cash flow and see what the financing requirement is. But let's say, for example, you had in your head that you thought maybe you wanted to raise a certain amount of money, and there's various different things you could have. So you want to do government grants, or maybe you're going to make a director's loan or take on a bank loan. But let's say, for example, we're just going to take on, or we're hoping to get us equity investment at some stage. That's going to be by way of, let's say, preference shares or ordinary shares, for example. And we think that might come in maybe May sometime. And that's going to look for, let's say, we're looking to look for 350,000. You don't have to fill in the equity section if you're a business and you don't think you're going to actually need any financing. You can leave this blank. But if you thought that maybe you might, it's going to be a shortfall at any point, which the cash flow will tell you, you can see, well, if I take on a bank loan or a director's loan, how would that affect everything? So you might just put in ABC in here as who the investment is coming from. And again, we can put in some notes around, what discussions we've had with them or why we think they're going to invest. So that's our revenue, our model inputs. So we build them up over time. We can always go back and change them. So let's say when we finish them, we decide, actually, we're going to need somebody in product design, or we're going to need somebody on more R&D staff, for example. You can just quickly add them in here. So once we've added in all our model inputs, what Sota does then, it takes all that information and it'll give you your financials. So here we have our cash flow, our P&L, our balance sheet, and then we can look at our FDS in a while as well. So the cash flow is very much an operating cash flow. So we can see here our opening cash balance, which is what you're asked for when you create your account, when you set up the company. You can edit that down in your settings if you want to change that at any point. But then it pulls in all your cash from revenue, cash from financing, takes out all your operating expenses and all your cost of sales down here, and then gives you an ending cash position. So in this particular example, we can kind of see that there is a gap in the first period before they look to raise money. So we might want to go back and add in a director's loan or a bank loan or something to cover this period, or maybe push back some of the costs until we do actually raise money, or increase the price or increase the number of diplomas we're going to sell. So that kind of gives you an indication of what you might need to do in order to get you through any sort of shortfall in cash. And if we look at a couple of years, we can kind of see that the cash they've raised seems to be sufficient. They're probably raising a little bit more, potentially a bit later though. But the cash position looks healthy after the first year and once they raise some money. The P&L then is very much a standard P&L. It shows you your revenue. It shows you your cost of sales, gives you your gross profit and your gross profit margin. So again, you can quickly see that this is a technology business. You'd expect a fairly high gross margin on this. So we're kind of in the good ballpark. If this was down around 30%, you might want to start asking questions around maybe my sales aren't high enough relative to the cost of sales I have. But this looks okay for the moment. Brings you down to your net profit margin, so you can see what that might be. Again, looking quite healthy for this business here. And then if you had any interest on loans or interest on directors' loans that are building up, you can see that in here. We've got depreciation in here because we have a certain amount of assets that we put in. And if you had government grants, you see them down here in the non-operation part. So we can see that for the 3 years of the financials. And then the balance sheet just gives you a quick snapshot of of the assets and liabilities at any point in time. I suppose what's key about Sota is, it automatically does the balancing for you, so you don't need to worry about, well, is my balance sheet balancing, or where's the errors, or did I override something somewhere? Sota, you can't do that. It takes away all that. Once you do your inputs, Sota does the rest for you. So that's essentially Sota. So when you set up a company, again, you're asked if you're planning on any sort of investment from Enterprise Ireland, or if you require their financial data set. If you do, you'll get shown this option here. And the financial data set is essentially your financial projections in Enterprise Ireland format. And there's slightly different to what you might expect. And they ask various different questions, but they want sort of separation out between global employees, Irish employees, global R&D, Irish R&D, and Sota does all this for you. So it asks you the question of whether it's based in Ireland, whether R&D, that kind of stuff. You can see the equity investment coming in here. That pulls it in from elsewhere. This is our capex that we've purchased. We only did it in year one. We didn't have any other employees. We didn't do any other purchases after year one, so there's nothing there. And down below here, one thing on the FDS is, if you're familiar with this, Enterprise Ireland look for a particular breakdown of your sales. What Sota does is it just gives you the actual ending number, but you have to do a bit of manual input here to actually show what the split of those sales is. It's something that you can't get away from, unfortunately. Sota just won't know what that sort of split is unless you tell it. There's the ability to add in your historical information here, which again is something that Enterprise Ireland would look for if you're applying for any funding with them. So that gives you your P&L and your balance sheet, and in the format that Enterprise Ireland would require. There's a dashboard then. So here you can see some high-level sort of charts and tables. You can look at these over different periods of time for the charts. Tables are over a 3-year period. And you can drill down and to get more details into some of the tables. So you have headcount here, expenses, your cash flow, some of your revenue. So that's it really. That's a whirlwind through building a financial model. So you can see quite quickly how you can build up your model and come out with your financial statements, and how easy it is to go back in and tweak them. So if you wanted to go back in and just have a look at your revenue and make some amendments to this, maybe you thought you wanted to start the membership earlier, or maybe it's going to be later, or you want to start with more users, you can edit all this within Sota. There's also the ability to invite people to either view or collaborate with you on your Sota model. So team members can actually make some changes if you wanted. So you might want to invite your CTO to have a look at the R&D makeup of the team, and he might have some suggestions around, well, if we need to take on more people here, or we're going to need more resources in 3 months' time. Or you can invite guests. So guests would be people who you just want to have access to your Sota without being able to make some changes. That could be consultants or potential investors who just want to be able to view certain parts without being able to edit it. At the very start, when you set up your account, you're actually given 2 options, and one is to set up Sota as a company. So you just set up as, for example, this is set up as a company, it's Sota LLC, or you'll have the option to be able to set it up as a consultant. And if you decide to set up as a consultant, you'll be able to create multiple companies within Sota, and that allows you to really see, if you're dealing with 4 or 5 companies, you kind of have your dashboard to see the companies you're dealing with, and you can just click in directly to each one of those companies to view or to edit the details as is the case. But it does allow you to build up the consultancy side rather than just setting up individual companies for people you're working with and having different email addresses. It allows consultants under one email address to set up multiple companies. So that's it. That's a whirlwind tour through it. Hope you saw. We're only at 25 minutes, so it was a lot quicker than half an hour to build our financial model. So yeah. So I think you should all be able to. Let me just stop sharing for a second.